Okay, yeah, some pretty heavy stuff to say the least, and it still feels surreal to have been a part of that. You see wildfires and disasters like that happen on the news more and more often, unfortunately, and I never thought that we would actually be a part of that. Um, so it's still weird, even almost 7 years out. It seems surreal. But like Melissa was saying, we moved there. That summer was longer and harder than we than we thought. For sure, we were finally felt like we were getting our feet under us. We were getting established with our cute little house, and we lived there for a couple weeks. And I was working, and I actually got a second job. And that morning, I did go to work. I went to work probably about 7 a.m. Ironically, I was working for a company that inspected power lines around trees to try to prevent wildfires and incidents like that from happening. Um, and it just so happened that I was working in a town called Forest Ranch. So Paradise, if we picture it, is on a butte, like Melissa said, surrounded by canyons. And there's a canyon, and then Forest Ranch is on the opposite side um, of that canyon on another butte. Um, and so, in order to get there, I had to go down, go through Chico, across, and then come back up the hill to get to Forest Ranch. There was no road across the canyon or anything like that. So, as I was heading down, I saw a plume of smoke over to the east. As I was coming down, looked pretty sizable. I was listening to the radio, and they said that there was a fire about 50 miles away in Plumas. So I was like, oh, okay, 50 miles away. That's not too bad. I did text Melissa and just let her know, hey, there's a fire, just FYI. Like she said, that morning or that evening, it was really windy, really loud. There was a lot of trees around our house. It kept me up for a while that night, just kind of afraid that we're gonna get a big branch coming through our roof or something like that. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But it was very windy that night, for sure. So I was coming down, uh, sent her that text, went down into Chico, stopped at a Starbucks to get coffee, looked back up. That plume of smoke was way bigger than what it was originally. So, I think I contacted Melissa again, just a little bit concerned, like about what was going on. Um, then I got my coffee, headed up to Forest Range. It takes a while. It's probably another 20, 30 minutes between from Chico to you get to up to Forest Ranch because of the way the roads are and stuff like that. So I got up there. There was another guy who was working for the company I was working at. We were just talking real quick in the morning before we went to go and did our thing. And as we were talking, my boss texted all of us that she was basically like, hey, if you live in Paradise, go back to your homes now. They're under an evacuation order. You need to go pack up your things and get out. Don't worry about working. Just go, you know, save your homes and your families, essentially. So I was like, oh, okay. Um, so again, I grew up on the East Coast in Jersey. We had nothing like this at all. Terrain was different, climate was different, everything was completely different. A fire out there, something to this scale, was completely unheard of. Never grew up like that. So it was definitely different, experience something like this. Melissa had told me stories of fires coming right up to town, but then not going through, just like she explained earlier. And so I just figured, okay, they're doing the evacuation order out of an abundance of caution. I get it. Um, so I'm gonna go and get with my family and get our important stuff and try to get out of Dodge, essentially. We were at Forest Ranch. The cell reception was not great at all. So I tried to call and it just wasn't going through. So I'm like, okay, I probably just need to get out of the town because Forest Ranch, literally in a forest in the mountains, kind of in the middle of nowhere, really small town. Um, there's not much up there at all. So I was like, well, maybe we just need to head down the mountain. I'll try to call her again just to see where she's at, what's going on, you know. And I was kind of listening to the radio a little bit as well, and they were saying that the fire was coming up onto Paradise, and there were some areas of Paradise that were on fire. Like Melissa said, we kind of were living closer to the edge of town, um, and close to a canyon, and I knew the fire was coming up there, so I was getting a little bit concerned, and I tried to call her a couple of times on my way down. I wasn't getting anything; it was just ringing, um, and just hit her voicemail. And I remember calling her a good couple of times. By the time I get to like third, fourth time of her not answering, then I really started getting concerned. I'm like, what the heck? Why isn't she answering? Like, I don't, and of course, kind of the worst starts going through your mind at that point. Um, and so I was getting a little bit scared for sure. So I was racing down the mountain. And I finally did get a hold of her, thankfully. And she essentially just said, we're evacuating, we're heading down too. So don't even bother to try to come up, which was fine because by the time I finally did get down the hill, I did get to Chico, it was backed up. Like, you know, uh, you could tell everybody was heading east and trying to get back up to get up to Paradise to, do what they can, help their family, save their homes, whatever it was. So that wasn't even an option. Honestly, I would have been stuck in traffic for hours. There's no way I would have made it up. So like Melissa said, we did end up meeting, at a Costco parking lot there. And yeah, it was definitely a huge relief that they were there, they were safe, that we were together, and like you said, man, it was black. It was very, very dark. It felt like it was the evening, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and things were getting very dark, and it was cold. I do remember, just like Melissa was saying, like I was cold. I was shivering. And again, I don't know if it was adrenaline, the temperature dropped, probably all of the above, but it was definitely a crazy time. I've never really felt cold like that, especially in the middle of the day. Yes, it was November, but it's warm up there, at that time of year, even in November. So I do remember reuniting, being super thankful for that. And then we all decided to meet up at her niece's house in Chico. Um, it was a safe spot, in town. And I do remember kind of everybody going up there, all her family meeting up. Thankfully, everybody was safe at the time. At that point, Melissa's mom and stepdad have not gotten there yet. Neither had her oldest sister. Um, her mom and stepdad did arrive eventually. They did have to drive through flames. Um, to get back, and I do remember hugging them, and it smelled like they were just, sitting by a campfire. They smell like smoke. It's weird getting emotional about it. Close to 7 years out. I feel like I haven't gotten emotional about it like that in a long, long time. And maybe because I haven't really talked about it out loud like this in a really long time as well. When we did see them, they had this terrified look on their face. I mean, obviously, they literally drove through hell to get there, and it was really a miracle that they were alive in there. We were very thankful for that, and Melissa's sisters were not there yet either. But Melissa's oldest, Michelle, it did take her a while for her to get there, but we were able to get a hold of her, and we did know that she was safe, thankfully. Um, yeah, and she had to drive through flames as well. And she eventually arrived there safe as well. And so, um, even down in Chico, kind of in the middle of the town, her niece was put under an evacuation order as well. Thankfully the fire did not come anywhere near there, but they just wanted to play it safe. So with that, we got a hold of Melissa's brother, who lived about an hour away, and then we decided to go there. We figured that was safe, an hour away. At that point, we knew Paradise was in trouble. We knew Paradise was on fire, obviously, but we didn't know. We didn't know what happened. We didn't know if our house was still up. Any of her family's house was still there. We didn't really have any news. There was rumors, and even the couple of days after, we just didn't know for sure, like what happened, what was still standing, what wasn't, if we were able to go back, if there was anything left. There was just a lot of uncertainty at that point, and that uncertainty was hard. It was hard not to know what happened, if any of our stuff made it or not. Thankfully, we were all together. That's what really mattered to us, and at the end of the day, it was just stuff. It was all their stuff. you know, like Melissa was saying, like they literally left with the clothes on their back, uh, hamper full of dirty clothes, and thankfully she had the wherewithal to grab a box with our papers, birth certificates, and blah blah blah. So that's pretty much all we had. Um, and it took us a good couple of days to find out that that's it. That's really all we had. So we'll be talking more about kind of the aftermath and the days and weeks afterwards as well. But um, just wanted to leave you guys with that. Was it a mistake? Should we have moved to Paradise from Colorado at that time? I think we should have. I really do think that's what God wanted us to do. The timing was crazy. We never thought in a million years that something like this would happen. But thankfully, He kept us safe. Um, and again, like Melissa said, that wasn't the case for everybody. Unfortunately, there were a lot of people who lost their lives. Um, but it's it's still difficult to talk about, even so many years after, and especially knowing that so many people did lose their lives. Um, and lives were ruined and changed forever, and so people are still mentally, psychologically, like trying to recover from something like that. So anyway, we'll leave that here.